Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here. Look, if you're the kind of person who loves to peel back the layers and really understand the systems governing our lives, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're diving headfirst into a massive, global sociological thought experiment. We're going to look at the fragility of our modern world, but more importantly, and this is the fascinating part, we're going to examine ourselves. We're putting on our sociologist hats, stripping away all that relentless digital noise, and mapping out exactly what happens to human behavior when the digital floor literally drops out from underneath us. We're going to see what the absolute core of human connection actually looks like today. So I want you to imagine waking up tomorrow morning. You reach for your phone like you do every single day, right? But something's wrong. There's no Wi-Fi. You open up Instagram, but the feed just won't refresh. You try to Google to see if there's an outage, but nothing loads. You're just sitting there staring at that spinning wheel of death. You try texting your family, but the messages just hang there, undelivered. You get in your car, and well, a mild panic sets in when you realize you actually have no idea how to navigate to your favorite coffee shop without a digital map telling you where to turn. At first, you probably think it's just a glitch, right? Just a localized outage. But then, as the hours pass, the chilling reality sets in. The internet isn't just down for you. It's gone. Completely. Worldwide. So what actually happens next?
Okay, let's dive into this with phase one, the severed connection.
To really grasp the profound human shift that would happen, we first have to understand the structural collapse. Because before society can rebuild itself, it kind of has to fall apart first. And this descent from just a minor annoyance to total paralysis, it happens with terrifying speed. In that first hour, well, it's just network confusion. You restart your router, you toggle your cellular data on and off. People are annoyed, sure, but they aren't panicking yet. But fast forward to hour 6, this is where the invisible infrastructure of our lives really begins to crack. That sudden loss of digital trust triggers immediate primal instincts. Banks start throwing critical errors. Online payments completely fail. You go to buy groceries, but the card machines are dead, and the ATMs, they've completely stopped dispensing cash. By the end of day 1, that mild confusion has mutated into pure transaction panic. Without digital communication and online news, a severe information vacuum forms. Supply chains literally freeze overnight because the digital ledgers telling trucks where to go simply cease to exist. And in an information vacuum, human beings instinctively hoard resources, grabbing whatever physical cash and supplies they can get their hands on. Moving through the end of the first week, the escalation is just staggering. The sky becomes eerily quiet because flights are grounded entirely. Air traffic and booking systems just cannot coordinate without the web. Massive logistics networks completely break down. Hospitals start struggling with severe data loss as all those interconnected medical devices suddenly go dark. To survive, people are forced into this sudden, desperate time warp. You'd have younger generations frantically trying to figure out what a landline even is, assuming they can even find one. And here we see an immediate sociological phenomenon. Humans, stripped of their personalized algorithms, clustering around battery-powered radios. It's honestly like gathering around an ancient campfire. We are deeply narrative creatures, you know? And without the internet, we flock to whatever shared story or emergency broadcast we can find, just desperate for a voice in the dark. We're literally forced into mandatory physical meetings just to keep basic societal functions running. And what happens next is a massive, overnight sociological power shift. The economic landscape completely flips upside down. The heavily digital sector, it takes an apocalyptic hit. Tech companies, once valued in the trillions, are suddenly worth absolutely nothing. Entire online businesses vanish into thin air. Influencers, remote workers, people whose entire social and economic capital was tied to a digital persona, they lose all their leverage in a matter of seconds. The global economy enters a complete freefall. But on the other side of this shift, local physical trades undergo this massive renaissance. Plumbers, carpenters, farmers, the people who actually know how to wire a generator or run a paper-based ledger system, they become the new societal leaders. They hold the absolute keys to the kingdom. We transition instantly from a global digital economy based on attention to a heavily localized physical economy based on utility and tangible real-world skills. Now we enter phase 2, the sociological awakening. This is where things get really fascinating from a human perspective. Because as fascinating as the infrastructure collapses, the internet being gone, the economy paralyzed, we have to ask, what is happening to the human mind? How do human relationships actually mutate when that digital tether is completely severed? Amidst the global panic, Amidst the collapse of trillion-dollar industries, a profound and quiet shift happens right outside your front door. Then, neighbors started talking. I want you to really let that settle for a second. Without the ability to text someone thousands of miles away, you are forced to look at the person living 10 feet away. That person in apartment 4B, whose name you never bothered to learn in 5 years of living there, they are suddenly the only person who can help you figure out if the local water supply is safe. Parasocial relationships, those one-sided bonds we form with celebrities and online personalities, they evaporate instantly. The return to face-to-face communication is no longer just this quaint, nostalgic desire. It becomes an absolute necessity for survival. And this brings us to a specific, deeply fascinating sociological concept known as hyperlocalism. Now, this isn't some trendy lifestyle choice. It's a sudden, forced reliance on your immediate physical community. Think about it. Right now, in our modern lives, we outsource so much of our existence to the global internet. We outsource our safety, our entertainment, our shopping, even our empathy to apps and distant servers. But when that global network vanishes, we have absolutely no choice but to redevelop proximity-based trust networks. You can't just download a favor anymore. You can't order an emergency repair with a quick swipe. If you need help, if you need news, or hey, if you just need comfort, you have to earn it face-to-face in the exact physical geography you occupy. You have to build real mutual aid networks with the actual human beings breathing the same air as you. And this brilliantly illustrates the incredible paradox of the lives we live right now. Just think about our pre-blackout reality. We possess this unbelievable global digital reach. We can literally speak to someone in Tokyo from a living room in New York. We can watch live events in London while sitting in Los Angeles. But the profound psychological toll of all that reach is an isolated physical reality. We are globally connected but locally stranded. We don't even know the names of the people sharing our own street. Now, compare that to the post-blackout reality. Our reach shrinks entirely to our local physical environment, but our physical reality transforms into a deeply connected community. Losing the entire world forces us to replace these vast, shallow global networks with small, incredibly deep physical ones. It's crazy to think about, but by shrinking our world, we actually deepen our human experience. Which leads us directly into phase 3, return to the village. Let's look at the unexpected good side of all this. Now, what's really interesting here is how our actual day-to-day lives transform. We've talked about the panic and the economic crash, but as communities are forced to become active again, we have to ask, without the internet, where does all our time actually go? Before the blackout, a massive portion of our day was eaten up by the endless, mindless scroll, right? Consuming passive content, watching short-form videos, endlessly refreshing our feeds. When that option is completely removed, human time is drastically reallocated. A massive 40% shifts directly to face-to-face connection. Front porch conversations replace digital comment sections. Walking over to a neighbor's house replaces sending a meme. Another 40% goes toward physical creation, manual labor, and dedicated uninterrupted thinking, actually making things with our hands again. And the remaining 20%? That's spent on local information seeking, like walking down to a physical community town hall instead of just scrolling through a subreddit. We trade passive digital consumption for highly active physical participation. And as a direct result of this massive time shift, we witness a phenomenal mental health paradox. Yes, the initial shock of the blackout is deeply stressful, no doubt about it. But as the dust settles, the human brain adapts in some truly wonderful ways. That anxiety-inducing 24-hour news cycle completely vanishes. The perpetual, soul-crushing comparison to curated, perfect lives on social media evaporates. Daily life is forced to slow down to a natural human pace. People actually report a drastically increased sense of physical presence, primarily because, well, you can't be anywhere else digitally. You must be exactly where you are. And sociologically speaking, this is massive. Looking people directly in the eye, working together to solve immediate physical problems, physically being in the presence of a community. This naturally releases oxytocin. It actually begins fundamentally repairing the psychological damage done by years of digital isolation. The digital crutches are totally gone, and in their place, we're forced to build authentic, resilient human bonds.
The mirror to modern life.
Now, we don't do these thought experiments just to imagine fun science fiction scenarios. We do them to hold up a mirror to our lives right now. We really have to evaluate just how much control the internet currently has over our daily habits, our relationships, and our perception of reality. Let's say after a month of this intense hyperlocalism, after actually meeting your neighbors, after slowing down, repairing your attention span, and rediscovering the absolute power of face-to-face connection, the internet suddenly turns back on. The screens light up, the Wi-Fi connects. Would we instantly go back to our old habits? Would we willingly retreat back into our isolated physical realities just to regain our shallow global reach? Or would we have learned something vital about what it actually means to be a connected human being? I want to challenge you today. You don't have to wait for a global blackout to start building your local community. Practice hyperlocalism right now. Leave your phone at home for just 1 hour today. Go outside, talk to that person in apartment 4B. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning the world around you, and I'll see you next time.